Anyone who has to make the fee payment, please close it today. Just 1 minute.
Hi. 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 Hi.
So everyone, please make the remaining fee payment today by tomorrow. Please don't expect me to send individual mails.
Hi.
It means everyone. I don't need to tell that you have to do, you have to do, you have to do. It's just that you need to remember that how much you have paid and what is the remaining you need to pay. Please initiate that transfer. And I don't want to again send a reminder mail. It doesn't feel good. I don't like to say that you have to pay. It doesn't feel good, right? Let's not keep that way. Please do it by tomorrow. I'll share the account details. Okay. So let's come back to the session. So what are things we have discussed yesterday? What did we do? Monitor, a scoreboard, and checking logic. One thing about UVM is there is nothing. UVM doesn't generally keep a term called as reference model. They try to put everything in scoreboard, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. You can do anything. But just that if you go by UVM standard, you won't have a block called as reference model. Reference model is nothing but a scoreboard. The scoreboard, the base class is UVM underscore scoreboard. What is the base class for scoreboard? Okay. UVM scoreboard. If you see, coverage also has a base class, that is UVM's subscriber. Subscriber comes with a method called as write, inbuilt method, whereas scoreboard no write method. The significance you know, right? It's a many to one connection. You can't have it because if once you have it, which monitor does it write corresponds to? Let's say imagine you have 4 DTH connections. Airtel, Big TV, there are Dish TV, Tata Sky, to same TV. When you switch on the channel, which channel will they correspond to? That is the problem comes when you have many to one connection. So you can't have one fixed write method. Whereas if I have only one connection, as soon as I open my TV, whichever DTH is there, that is coming. Hence you can't have a write method. So what do? We implement our own implementation ports, implement our own write methods. Then what else we did yesterday? Understood 2 comparator classes. What are those? algorithmic comparing. What is the difference? I mean, we told that there are a lot of restrictions here. We generally don't use both of them because we are trying to save some 10 lines of code. It gives a lot of difficulty in implementing this. We don't do it. Just that to be more precise, what they do, they implement that comparison logic between transactions coming from two interfaces. If transactions are of same type, transactions are of different type. Okay, different type means what? AX, AHP. So how does it figure out how to compare? So there is something called as, it is nothing but a transformer class plus UVM in order compared. These two things together. Okay, is this clear to you? What else we have discussed? Sorry? UVM do macros we discussed. We discussed that there are many variations, but one is UVM do. UVM do with. UVM do with the priority. Let's understand what is meant by pre means. Can someone tell me what is meant by pre means? When multiple sequences are run on same sequence concurrently, we can give priority to a sequence more than another sequence. That UVM do priority specifies that priority. So we can call this macro with priority set. Priority being set. Accordingly, sequencer will decide, I'll give priority to this, I'll give less priority to this, all that to this. Is this clear to you? Now, do, there is something called as do on. UVM do on. What does do on will do? This concept comes in virtual sequence. That is what we are going to discuss now. We stopped this discussion while working on this, right? What is that we are discussing? Sequencer. Virtual sequencer in real life is more like a top level manager who doesn't do any technical work. He only manages how the people do the things. If you take a VLSI project, there are around 15 steps in that project flow. So the top level guy doesn't really do design, doesn't do verification, doesn't do anything. He just manages the managers who do that work or leads who do that work. So those managers, sub-managers are like the main guys, master sequencers. The person who is the top manager is like a virtual sequencer. He's called as P sequencer. He just ensures that they happen in the order. Let's say, can I do layout before RTL coding? I can't do it. So the top level guy ensures that that order is taken care properly. So that is what we are going to do today. Okay, what we will do? Please. Okay. Then other than that, what else we discussed? I mean, this is about UVM do. We also discussed about how to do it at item level only. Now what UVM do can do? UVM do can run both items and sequences. It can do, when you say UVM do, you can run a item as well as sequence also. It can understand the item as well as it can understand sequence also. Right? Whereas What if I only want to run item? That is where start item will come. Start item, let's say request. Modify the request. Whatever you want to do the changes, request changes. Then finish item. Start item would kind of create the item. Request changes will do the changes. Then finish the item. This also we did. Let's say you want to do at a different level. Instead of using UVM, you want to do at an individual level. You do UVM create. You do UVM send. All those things you can do. We discussed all these things also. We don't really need to know individually all this one by one. If you are good with these things, if you are good with this thing, that's not enough. Then what else we discussed yesterday's session? We just started coding virtual sequences. Now today let's complete that one. Before we go to that, do you have any questions from last session?
Difference I want to know. We have UVM sequence item and UVM transaction class.
Yes. What is the difference?
Yeah, difference.
Tell me what would you do if I ask you to find the difference? What will you do?
Sequence item we define.
No. What will you do? Given my laptop, what will you do to figure out the difference? I'll go here. Sequences item is extended from where? UVM transaction. So these are the new fields that are there. So the fields that are specific to a sequence. When you run a sequence, generally they have some items. Sequence ID. What is the ID? Every sequence has an identification. So that every sequence transaction that is generates with that ID. Do you want to use the sequence information? What is the depth? Like that there are some information. Who is the master sequencer? Let's say I'm running interconnect with 3 masters. Some transaction is generated. Does the transaction belong to master sequence? Agent 1, agent 2, or agent 3? That is the end sequencer. Parent sequence. Who is the parent sequencer? I mean, you belong to which sequence? Issued or issued to, I don't know what is the sequence, print sequence.
Yeah.
You're getting right, what is sequence? Transaction won't have these fields. Ideally, sequence item is meant to be used between driver and sequencer. Transaction is used to be meant to be used anywhere else. Anywhere else means between monitor to reference model, between monitor to coverage. But ideally, we don't do it. We work with this system because even though if you are using sequence item, you are after using UVM transaction itself. But just that you won't use these fields there.
We are extending from that.
Yes. Ideally speaking, if you want to make it perfect, what you should do is between driver and sequencer, you model the communication using sequence items. Between monitor to coverage, between monitor to reference model, between the reference model to checker, use what? UVM transaction. Are you getting the difference? It has got a sequence ID, it has got a master sequence, it has got a parent sequence, it has got a depth information, all that information, which transaction won't have. Any questions? Any other questions? You got it right? See, I don't have to do anything. You go to the source code, that itself tells you everything. Next, any other questions? Agenda. Agenda is whatever we left out yesterday. I asked you to read through the document and tell me what all things we need to do. Did anyone do that?
whatever the topic you mentioned,
Okay. No, I mean to say I need any suggestions. Let's say you cover this topic in more depth. Those things also, right? So you
virtual sequence only.
will cover that, right? Anything. So we are open to all that container classes. Cover that. What else? Anything else? Okay, fine. Let's start with the virtual sequences and virtual sequences. What is that we were doing yesterday? We're trying to set up a simple example, no driver, no driving portion, no slave, nothing. Just generate a sequence, have a sequencer, have a driver, and have an environment to hold everything, and generate sequences. So what did we have? Environment with 2 master agents, 2 AHB agents, and 1 APB. That is what we were doing yesterday. If you go to that, there is that virtual sequences. If you go to AHB environment, sorry, this is AHB environment, right? Yeah. You see AHB environment has what? 1 P agent, 2 M agents. So then we coded APB agent also. APB driver, APB sequencer. Then we coded APB sequencer. Did we code it? No. This is where we stopped. Class APB SQR extends UVM sequencer. End class. Register it to the factory. AHB SQR, AHB driver. So it will be pretty much same as APB driver. Sorry. What is it? Name is DRV, I guess. Yeah. The name is what? Yeah, the code. Okay. No. AHB, right? AHB. Just take this. Do we need to really change any code? No, right now, because we are not really driving it, so we don't need to do any change. If driving comes, we have to add that drive transaction. That is where it will differ. Next. Next, what we have to code? AHB sequencing. That is. So that again you take from here. Did we code all the things required now? Now let's put together everything into top data. What are the files I have to include? Tick include. Did everyone run the one example anytime? UVM based example. Did you do it? UVM package .sv import UVM package star. Next, what I have to include? Tick include which file I have to include first? APB transaction. APB transaction.sv. Include what again? HB transaction. Next include what? APB DRV. APB SQR. APB agent. Next, similarly, copy these 3 lines, paste it here, change it to HB. Next, what I have to do? HP environment. Run test, what is the test I have in this whole thing? Base test only, right? So let's not take it as base test, let's call it as top or test both masters. Test, what do we write? Random transaction both masters. Extends base test end class. Now what do we do here? Register it to the factory. Next, function new y2. Next what? Function build phase y3. Understand here, calling build phase is very important here. If I don't call super dot build phase, what is the problem? It is essential. I can't avoid it. Why should I call? Can you tell me? Did you understood the question? Sorry? Is it my question? Are you focusing in class or are you sleeping? Then what is my question? What is my question? Tell me.
So why this build phase is required?
Again, why don't you understand why super dot build phase is call is required? Is there is there no difference between that question and what you asked, what you said? Why don't you focus in class? Tell me why super dot build phase is required. Can you tell? Why is it required? Can you tell?
Registering.
Can you tell?
Sir, because this is the run phase, this is build phase, and if we call this, it will automatically connect. It will automatically create all the phases, and this environment will be created because of this.
So one simple answer is without calling this build phase won't happen. This won't happen. If it doesn't happen, environment doesn't get it. What is difficult for you in understanding this? Are you sleeping in class? Then what is difficult for you? What is about registration? Is there build phase has anything to do with registration? Is it not explained before? Like why we call the super dot build phase or anything? What is super also you don't know? Okay. So without calling that, this you should not do. Sorry. It ensures that this gets called, which will create, if I don't call super dot build phase, this will never get called. So environment never gets created. Next. So we'll it's inheritance. Now the point is whether people know inheritance or not. We are in the probably last phases of our training. Do people know what is inheritance? And they just want to do UVM just because they want to put in resume that we have done UVM. Okay. Next is what? Next comes the sequence like that. I mean, we have to create ABB transaction, AHP transaction, of course. Yeah, let's create ABB transaction. HP transaction. So I will just use from a previous example only because. This new object we don't have. 1 minute, I'll do one thing. AHB CFG. So from here let's click new. So that is APB transaction. Next what? Sorry, AHB transaction I have to take, right? Again, you can get AHB transaction from a previous project. So whatever is really not required, we will not use them. For example, bus type, everything fine. We'll just work on this. Okay. Now, what is the other thing that we added and that we did not include in the list? One is AHB config. Can you review this list once? Are we including all the files? Can you write down the steps that we need to do now? Sure.
Very good. No, immediately. Okay.
Okay. Next, what we are supposed to do? Have the APB libraries created. So what are we supposed to do here is to support virtual sequences. Let's write down what is the thing we need to do. To support, to implement virtual sequences. Sequences or sequencer or sequences. We need following. Main sequences must be implemented. Main sequencer also must be working. Main sequencer is what? APB sequencer and AHB sequencer. They must also be there. Now, do we have APB sequence library here? No. Do we have AHB sequence library here? No. So let's just code APB sequence lib.st. Again, I'm just going to reuse from previous project this thing. Not doing all the things, we don't need to do all these things. All we will do is just UVM do will do. Because we are not here to check the design, right? Anything here. We're just going to do this. Okay. One transaction to start with. And let's close everything because it is, this is the example, right? APB sequence library we have done. Next, what we have to code? AHB sequence library.st. Again, I'll do from previous one. We won't do the sequence library configuration, all those things for now. We'll keep it basic. Basic will be what? Two things will require, starting from line number 10 to 46. 10 to 46 will be what? Y36 will be this one. So then I don't need to register it to the factory. I won't need 50 transactions. Let's keep 5 transactions only to start. Is this clear to you? No? Burst type also we don't require. Any doubts so far? In fact, address is also not required. Let it be just to do, that's all. Any doubts so far? Now, how do we use this? And let's do one more thing. Instead of this one, this is 10, right? This is, or let's call it as, let's keep it generic and say that n. That will be good, right? N. So repeat, none transactions. So here I'll write it as what? Rand bit 5 down to 0, none transactions. Right? You got it, right? What are we supposed to do here? Is create one top level sequence library called as AHB interconnect sequence. If it is not AHB interconnect, some other name. Just some name I am giving. Top sequence library. I will call it as not AHB interconnect. Top sequence library. Again, same concept. What is the same concept means? A base sequence, top base sequence, top n transaction sequence. Just copy this. What we are supposed to do here, don't do all these things. Top n transaction sequence. No need to do all these things. All you have to do is instantiate your required sequences. Which is the required sequence? First one, APB config sequence. Call it as config sequence. AHB n transaction sequence as n transaction sequence. You have to do one more thing, because it is a top sequence. It should not have any no item, because as I said, the top level manager doesn't know what is verification. I mean, doesn't do any verification. He doesn't know. He doesn't do any physical design or anything. He doesn't need anything. So you don't need to be parameterize for anything. If you parameterize, what will happen? It will become specific to AHB. It will become specific to APB. We don't want that. So all you have to do is, I mean, to use a sequencer, you have to tell declare P sequencer, and you need to tell which sequencer you are going to use. Let's say top SQR. Now we need to define top SQR also. You see, for last 5 minutes I am doing changes required for a virtual sequences. For last 5 minutes I am doing. I'll ask one of you to explain all the changes. Once I'm done, I'll ask one of you to explain. Okay. So be focused. Class top SQR extends what? UVM sequencer. No parameterization. Because as soon as you parameterize, what will happen? It will be specific to HB, APB or something. We don't want that end class. What do we do here? First thing, component details. Is it new? New means that function new definition. The most important thing here is APB SQR, or I will call it as PSQR. You may get confused to P sequencer. I won't use it. I'll call it as APB SQR underscore I. But the thing is, do not create above sequencer handles. What is important? Do not create them. If you create them, virtual sequencer won't work. You just have to point them. Point rather, we'll point these two agent sequencing interface. Main agents will be there, right? It's like I'm the top manager. I need to coordinate. I don't need to have another person like him with me. He's already there. I need to say this means that person. My design verification manager means that real manager. That I need to just map, that's all. I don't need to keep one manager there, one manager here. As soon as I do, it won't work, right? Because he doesn't know what to do. That's all. This is the code. Virtual sequencer is only this much. This is important. See, there can be many virtual sequencers in the environment. The environment can have many virtual sequencers. Like in a company, there can be many program managers who don't do any work, who just coordinate with the people. Now, which virtual sequencer you are going to use for this sequence is specified. That will become, that is same thing in this class called as P-sequencer. Like we use this, right? This and super. This keyword will also be there. P-sequencer. P-sequencer is the handle of the top sequencer. You may say that why don't we use top sequencer itself? Top sequencer is the name of the class. P-sequencer is the name of the handle. So all I have to do is UVM do on with request P sequencer dot APB SQL underscore I. Request dot num transactions equal to 5. Is this clear to you? Do on with doing what? No, it's a mistake. It's not request. It is n transaction sequence. Sorry, this is not APB. This is AHB. It is config sequence. It is n transaction sequence. Now, can you understand what am I doing? There is one more mistake we did. In top sequencer, it won't be 1, it will be 2. Because 2 HP masters are there. Now I need to say 0. But the problem here is both will run one by one, right? One followed by one. I don't want that. Let's. I want both of them to happen parallelly. Is it clear to you? What am I doing? Whichever sequences I want to run, I am instantiating them as by name config sequence and then transaction sequence. Then what am I doing? Can you understand that? Is this clear to you?
Yes, so in top secret, we do directly we can pass it without
Yes. We are not passing it, we are just using the class name. Then it becomes a P sequencer for us.
we didn't.
Let's say
Object of the class.
we don't need to say, we don't need to instantiate. See, are we passing the object to this argument? It's a class name, right?
Class name, but within that class only just to
No, it will understand because it has already compiled the top sequencer. By the time you have reached here, it knows what is meant by top sequencer definition. By the time it has reached this code, it knows what is top sequencer.
So what exactly the macro you have to code what?
You can go through that code once. Not macro, it will fall into sequences, right? Yes, macros UVM sequence defines, right? What is that macro is? UVM declare key sequence. What does it do? Whatever sequencer you are passing, it is instantiating it as a P sequencer. What does it do with the P sequencer? It is casting master sequencer into P sequencer. M set P sequencer. It creates this method. That's all. We are not using this. It just adds this method. What does it do is it instantiates sequencer as a P sequencer. That's all. If you call M set P sequencer, it sets whatever master sequencer you want to work as a P sequencer, it will set it. But we don't use this method. Only thing we are really doing is instantiating this. That's all. That means what? You really don't even need to call that, you just instantiate sequencer as yes. Then why we are doing that? We want this additional method also. Sometimes. Is this clear? Next, what we are doing? And no, you same virtual sequences you can do. You can have same class, same file where in the other object, I can write another virtual sequencer being used. Yeah, tell me what is it?
We have normally we do is some steps are there.
Yes.
But this will work.
That again.
Sequences we are.
So again, go through the same thing once. Do on with priorities -1. What does it do? It says create on. Then it says start the sequence. Create on whichever sequencer you passed. Then it runs that sequence on that sequence. Okay. You go through this code. See, I'm trying to explain in 5 minutes. If you spend another 10 minutes more, you'll understand everything. Is this clear to you what it does? It individually breaks it again into those create, send steps only. Create, start, send, those steps only. Next, what I have to do? We just need to run this. We need to 1 minute. Actually, one thing we need to do is go to the HP environment. This is not complete. You have to, along with this instantiate top SQRS, top SQR underscore. You need to instantiate like you instantiated this one. You have to instantiate top SQRI, top SQR, top SQRI. Yes. The most important part is the next one that I'm going to do. Connect this. What are we supposed to do here? Sorry. Top SQRI dot APP SQRI equal to P P agent dot str of 0 equal to M agent of 0 dot sequence. One is what? Is this clear? What are we doing? Is it clear? We didn't create this matrix in virtual sequencer. We just assigned this. Why did we do the? Why do we have to do the connect phase? Why didn't we do it in the build phase? Why didn't we do this 3 steps, 3 lines? Why did we do the connect phase?
So once those are built, then only we can implement. Once those are built in the
By the time you do it, still M agent, P agent are not yet created. Only when you are in connect phase, everything is build is done. If you do these things, you will get null object errors because a P agent, M agent wouldn't be there by that time. Right now, I just need to include all this in the top data suite. What is the last one we added? Top SQR. Next, what did we add? APB sequence library. Next what? AHP. Next what? Top sequence library. I can run all the tests. Right? So now let's go to this folder. What is this folder? Quick sim PWD create one run.do here. It's some other script we have to. Or we can create a project. And let's try to do include directory plus D. This is a problem, it doesn't work. Next what I have to do? Top practice. Mistakes, steps. Okay. Anyway, next what? vsim hyphen no react top run hyphen do on with the number of actual arguments is 2 are not equal to the number of formal arguments. Number of actual arguments 2 only. Do on with line number 33 top sequence line. Yeah, here, right? It should not be with, right? It should be do on only. Then vsim top. There's mistake here. What is mistake? This I have to give. I just have to change the test name. What is the test name? Okay, right. Let's not go with verbose and all those things now. Right? Do run that. Like this, always try to create this do files. There is a problem here. Let's try to figure out where the issue is coming. Bad handler reference. Get next item. Okay. In the test case, if you see, if I go to the test library, I didn't set anything. I need to say UVM config db UVM object wrapper set. What do I have to set? This env dot top sequencer underscore I dot run face. What do I have to set there? What do I have to set there? Default sequence. Which sequence I have to run? Top and transaction sequence. Okay. That's, you got it right? What is it? End function, line number 18. Issue the semicolon we are missing. No, it does not. Can set up a steering. Still this issue comes, let's see. APV driver run phase. In the top sequence library, what I will do is, ideally it creates them. Let's still there shouldn't be any need to do this. Type ID create running the test random transaction both masters test, which is the test that is being run. Go to test library. We are running this test. Are we running the same test? Yes. If you go here, what are we doing? Setting the top sequencer, run phase. Top sequencer did we create? The environment we have created. Okay, we have set the top sequencer, individual sequencers also. Now, what are we saying? Environment has a top sequencer. Top sequencer has a run phase. In that there is a default sequence, and we are telling that run top and transaction sequence. What is top and transaction sequence? Where is that? It is in the top sequence library here, right? We are saying that run this sequence, get type. Now where is the issue coming from? Let's see. Oh, okay, it is coming because everything looks good, right? What do you think could have gone wrong? I think from here you can figure out something. See, get next item is where it is giving issue. But we know that sequence is fine. We know that sequencer is also fine. We know that driver is fine. What is the issue then? What could be the issue? How will you fix that? This issue is with sorry. The same thing we do in what? Now this issue should not come. There's some issue. Okay. What is the issue here? Let's see. Tell me what is the issue. Sorry. Sorry? We don't need to define, they'll be there. Wait. HP agent illegal assignment to port base HP transaction from class sequencer some issues there. Line number 17. Go to HP agent, line number 17. DRV sequence item port connected to the SQR. Just read this error, let's see. Let's also I sent you a video. Yes, it's also makes it you want to meet the something like I work with you and once you're done how you'll see that. What is the error here? Let's fix this. So what I will do is I'll also copy this again. And even I don't know what is this issue. I don't know. Let's try to figure out what is it. AHB agent like illegal assignment to class. What class? Port base. Sequence this one from sequence item pull implementation. Okay, class. So basically it's to do, definitely to do with the connection that we have done. DRV sequence item port connected to the sequencer sequence item export. That is how we do the connections, right? Then why should it be a problem at all? AHB sequencer, AHB driver. We call it as driver and sequencer. AHB DRV. Sorry? We don't need to define, that's what I'm telling. They're already defined. That's, sorry? AHB DRV UVM driver AHB transaction. In case of APB driver, this one, I possibly got the issue. AHB SQL. What is the issue there? See, that's why it doesn't, it can't match it.
As you mentioned it, but the pairing sequencer is not supposed to follow.
This is not a pair virtual sequencer. This is a normal sequencer. Now you see it will go through. Got right? One small mistake you do. It doesn't tell you. That's the problem with UVM. UVM won't tell you where exactly is the issue. If it is system error, it tells you this line number there is issue. UVM shows issue somewhere, but issue will be somewhere else. That's the one of the drawbacks I have seen. I mean, drawback means because the code is so huge that some connection you are talking, it won't really refer to that line. It refers to some other line, and it won't tell you which line exactly has the issue. In system error, it's not like that because it's whatever limited code there you will exactly see the issue. Now, what are we doing here? We are generating transaction. How many transactions we are generating? You can see here. This is for M agent 0. This is for M agent 1. Initially, before anything, P agent would have happened. Before anything, you see, M agent 0, M agent 1 are happening one by one. Now this is P agent. Only one sequence we are generating. Because we did only UVM 2 once. Are you getting it? And other than that, how many transactions would have generated? 5 from master 0, 5 for master 1. You can confirm that. See, this is 1 for master 1. This is 1 for master 0. 2 for master 0, 2 for master 1. 3 for master 1. 3 for master 1 and master 0. 4 for master 0, 4 for both. 5 for master 1. So 5 transactions, we are able to control this. The point is not able to controlling number of transactions here. Point is about not about number. Point is about maintaining the order. See, now master 0 and master 1 are happening concurrently, parallelly. The same thing I could do, very simple change. Let's close this, it's become too much congested. Test library, go to test library. Both master serial test, series test, series or serial, sequential. How do I achieve sequential nature here? You call it as transaction SEQU, okay. Go to sequence library, top sequence library. Just everything is in this level. What is the change I require? Really require. If you want to just remove for me.
Sir, this is only the main matters for this.
Sorry.
Only for the order.
Only for ordering virtual sequence only does that. That's all. It doesn't do anything more than that.
But we need some conditions. So in this place, we need some conditions. For example, after the
We can do all that. That's where we have this topic. If you see, we have listed down different styles of coding, sequence coding that we will discuss after this. This is one of the styles, right? Whatever we did is one of the styles, right? So now let's run the other test case. What is the other test case? Sequential test. So what change I have to do? Tell me what change I have to do in Randa do. Just go here, do Randa. Now you will see lastly all in the lastly M agent 1 only. M agent 1, M agent 1, M agent 1, M agent 1, M agent 1. Next it will be M agent 0 from now on. M agent 0. This is what? M agent 0. 5 will be there. Earlier it was interleaved. They were happening parallelly. First will be epimedial. This is one way of doing it. What else we could do on other than this? We have already discussed driver can give back some sequence item to the response to the sequence, and based on that it can do some actions, some further decision making that we can do. What else we can do? Some event, there can be some, it can wait for some event to happen, based on that it can do. Let's say what it can be, like wait M agent 0 to complete. Yeah. I mean M agent 0 transactions complete flag. Is it clear? Where this flag will be there? Can be in HBCFG somewhere. Okay. In the HBCFG declare variable called as class HBCFG in the class M agent 0 completion flag is declared. If that is one only, then we'll proceed further. Now, what we are supposed to do here? HB driver. Right. Now, what I will do here? I'll put here flag number. Bit 1 down to 0 or 3 down to 0. Master number. All that will be required here. Register to the factory. UVM field enter. Master number, UVM, all. UVM, all on. What do we do there? That would be enough. And what else we have to do? Super dot build phase anyway we are getting. So master number will come automatically. Now what change I have to do now? In the HB environment, I need to ensure that in the build phase, UVM config db set integer it is. Set what? This M agent of 0 star master number set to what? 0 1. You getting it? Now what we will do is in the driver, AHP driver, somewhere we have to, I mean, idea is it really has no meaning for this. As of now there is no meaning for this. Yeah, what I would rather do is I will use this is static bit 5 down to 0 number of transactions. Let's say number of transactions is how many? 5. Where are we passing number of transactions? Somewhere in the test case we passed number of transactions, right? When we take this, I think sequence library, top sequence library. Yes. This is equal to HBCFG. Now, what we will do is if we'll keep counting some flag. Count transactions. So here, before you entered, count transaction is what? 0. You keep counting transactions. So what you do is if you count transactions equal to what? HBCFG number of transactions. Then you set HBCFG M agent transaction complete flag. By default it is what? Clear? Right. So if it doesn't become, then we won't proceed further. We'll wait for that to become one. Okay, let's run this. So next we'll just print a message called as we'll count transaction, right? So dollar display count transactions is equal to percentage D count transactions. Count transaction is 5. Hence it moved, it went off that. For this one also it's giving here also it gave 5. So M agent 0 finished. After that count transaction became 5. Then it reached here. Then it's doing M agent 1. Now all you do is just set this to +1. It will never execute. It will hang. Basically, the test will hang. Understanding why it will hang? Because we are counting transaction will be 5, whereas we are checking for 6. It won't match. So this flag will never be set. If you don't set it, if you do not set it, what will happen? This will never clear. If it never gets cleared, this will never run. If it never runs, sequence doesn't complete. Sequence doesn't complete, what will happen? Objections won't drop. If objection won't drop, test won't complete. If test doesn't complete, it times out at 9200 seconds. It times out at default timeout. It defaults at what? 9000. Because last one that would have exited be only be emergent 0. Emergent 1 never would come. What other changes could be possible here? It could be waiting for a event, interrupt to be set. What other waiting condition you keep? The question is what? What other waiting conditions can be implemented? Could be one is it could be waiting for an interrupt to be set. Second is what? It could be waiting for register value to be some specific value. Or it could be some reset completion. Could be waiting for some reset condition completion. There are many things. It can be a value or it can be some transition like this. Or it can be some positive edge or something. Many things it can be. This is third style of implementation. Fourth is what? Sequences, calling the sequences first. So I won't affect this. So try with this both the combinations. You'll see with this if you run, it will go through. What is the fourth style? Sequence calling sequence further. You got it right? What is meant by sequence calling sequence? Run the same sequence. I can call a virtual sequencer inside a virtual sequence. You don't need all these things. Now, top sequence calling another virtual sequence. Now what I have to do, just copy this one of this sequence, top and transaction sequence. Instantiate it as my sequence underscore I, some sequence. All you have to do is just do sequence. That's it. Do on is not required here. Because already it's a virtual sequence, it understands that it will take care of the things. At the next level, it's a virtual sequence. So now using this, you create a test. How do you create a test? Same thing, no difference at all. What do you have to do? Test virtual sequence inside virtual sequence. Okay. What's the sequence name? Top sequence calling. Now what is the change I have to do to run this? Go to run.do. Just to be sure that, just to confirm that it is indeed calling this one, just print a message. $display top virtual sequence calling top end transactions. Does it mean that only one sequence you can call? You can call 10 sequences. This is the concept of layered sequence. You can call one sequence in another, one sequence. Like that you can create interesting scenarios. Where this will find useful? When you are verifying state machines, you will go, let's say there are 30 possible transitions are possible. You can create each transition as a one sequence. Whatever finally you need sequence, that you merge everything and make a one sequence. Calling one by one. Somewhere in the top you will see that happening. that message. Top sequence calling, another virtual sequence calling. So these are some of the styles of coding. You can explore a little more further as well what we can do. At the end, it's about the sequence calling other sequences, sequence calling items. Sometimes you calling start item, finish item. Sometimes you do UVM, do on with, all those things. Right? That is about different styles of coding the sequences. What is this? Second one is, are you clear with different styles of coding? How you can code, use a already existing sequence to code a next sequence? How can you use items? How can you wait for something? You can repeat. You can call the sequences by passing some value from the top. From the test, you can decide number of transactions. That can decide number of sequence items generated. That is also one very important thing. Next concept is what? Sequence and sequencer communication. Sorry, layering of sequences. What is layering of sequence? Already what we did is a layering of sequences. To understand that, let's take one example. In this, what we do is, if you see this diagram, there are almost 27 transitions will be there in this diagram. Detect to polling is one transition. Polling to detect is one transition. Like that, if we count, there are 27 lines will be there, 26, 27 lines will be there. If you think of all possible combinations here, there will be hundreds at least. You can't code 100 sequences. Rather, what we do is we implement them as smaller sequences. One we will call as detect to L0 is one sequence. L0 to recovery is another sequence. Let's see, L0 to low power is one sequence. L0 and L1, L2 are called as low power states. This third, we are not talking about one sequence. L0 to L0 is one, no, not one. Going from L0 to any of those three states is one sequence. Why this is important is, now let's say we want to detect to go to L2 and then come back to detect. What we will do, we will call detect to L0 sequence once. Then we will call L0 to low power sequence, saying that with the final state equal to 0. It will automatically generate a sequence item in such a way that it goes to L2 state. That way we will be able to code only everything in within 10 sequences. Not even 10 sequences. 5 sequences. Then whatever test you want, you use those 5 sequences, create chaos. What have I tell you? Otherwise, you have to create sequence for everything. Detect to polling, detect polling to recovery, detect polling to loop back, everything, every possible thing you have to create a sequence. Kind of it's a concept where we will use the same sequence to do many things. And it is possible. I wanted to take this as assignment. I told you what is the layering of sequences. Layering of sequences means what? Using already coded sequences, instantiate them and create an interesting scenarios. It is, I am not talking about virtual sequences here. Virtual sequence is a different concept. Layering of sequence is a different concept here. In layering of sequence, what do? We create base sequences which will act like a main sequences for, which will act like a base sequences for creating other next level of sequences. Does it mean that only one layer is required, one layer is allowed in UVM? There is no limit to that. You can create 10 layers of. That means, given this sequence you are coding detect to L0, it can have 3 sequences being called. Detect to polling is one sequence. Polling to configuration is another sequence. Config to L0 is one sequence. So when you want to implement detect to L0, you have to call all those three sequences one by one. Detect to polling you will call. Polling to config you will call. Config to L0 you will call. How will you call? What is meant by calling such concept? All you have to do is, let's say if I am coding here, layering of sequences, right? What would I do? Class detect to polling sequence extends. I'm not going to write all the concepts here. UVM sequence and class. Of course, this is a proper training sequence. I mean proper driver sequence. So it should be, there should be something. PCI item, something should be there. Right? Got it, right? Next. Similarly, I'll have polling to CFG sequence. Here also implement the logic. It's not that you are going to keep it empty. Somewhere implementation should be there. Now similarly you are going to have config to L0 sequence. Now what is the next layer? Next layer of sequence is class training sequence. It is called as actually training, link training. Detect to L0 is called as link training sequence. Training sequence extends UVM sequence hash PCI item end class. All you do is instantiate detect to polling as detect to poll, poll to config as poll to config, CFG to L0 as CFG to L0. Then what do you do? Task body end task. What do you do? Just you do UVM to detect to poll, poll to config, config to L0. Only one thing you could properly do is wait for LTSSM state equal to poll. Wait for LTSM state to be equal to CFG. Wait for LTSM state to be equal to. That's all. This is the second, next layer. Next layer of sequences. Third layer of sequences.
China.
Class. Low power sequence, I'll call it as. Class detect L0 L2 sequence, I'll call it as. Extends, all that you will do, UVM sequence, all that you will do. You see, at every level I still have to give item. Now what will I do? I'll use training sequence 1 as training sequence underscore I. Low power sequence 1. Low power sequence would be this layer basically as low power sequence underscore I. Implement task body end task. What are we supposed to do here? Again same concept, UVM do training sequence, UVM do low power. Is this correct? There is one mistake. What is the mistake? Do it. I would have coded my low power sequence in such a way that if I get L2 as an argument, I will take it to L2 state. Is this clear? This is the third layer of sequences. Like that I can create any layers. See why are we calling it as layers? This is using these sequences. These are using these sequences. Any doubts here? So, did you get clarity what is meant by layering of sequences? It can be used many places. Okay, is it clear to you? Sequence and sequencer communication. It's clear, right, till this point? Next, what is meant by sequence and sequencer communication? It's about the UVM allows many sequences to work with the same sequencer at same time. What is the example? This is an example. Sorry, this is not the right example, I would say. But if you are doing on the same agent, it is possible. On the same agent, same sequencer, you can run many sequences parallel. Using 4 join, you can run. During that time, what will happen is, someone needs to get a priority. Otherwise, if you don't have any priority, they will run in what? Random order. They'll run in what? Random order. So, and many times we may not want a random order. That is where comes a concept called as lock and grab. What is meant by lock and what is meant by grab? Tell me. Bottle. Lock and grab. What does grab will do? Request a lock for the sequence specified by the sequence pointer. Grab request is put in the front of arbitration queue. It will be arbitrated before any other request. Lock means they will be put in the order. You see, lock will do what? Understand the difference? Why this concept is coming? Because there is one sequencer. There are many sequences, 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them are trying to work with this sequencer at same time. Now who should get priority? This concept of lock and grab will help us. If there is no concept of lock and grab, who will come into picture? Priority will come into picture. If there is no priority, everyone is same with priority, then what comes into picture? Randomness. They'll run randomly. By default, everything randomly. On top of that, let's say if you are given priority will take effect. On top of that, if you use lock and grab will take effect. Means if I have locked with this thing, this will complete only, then next this can happen. Just that what grabs does is, you can, while one is locked, you can also request lock from other. Till the time first one completes, other one won't start. But if you do grab, what will happen is, the grab will place that request in the beginning of the queue. Let's say we are waiting for movie tickets. So everyone is locked, our position is locked in the queue. First to that first position goes, I will get the ticket next. If someone comes and grabs, what he will do, he will join the beginning of the queue. But he will still wait till the first one to complete. Whoever is working with the counter, he will wait. Then he will get the position. That is grabbing. Locking is what? Just you ensuring that you become a queue part of the queue. Okay, let's try these examples once. Lock and grab. You understood this concept? What do we do here? Let's update this example. How many numbers are there? 21 to 39, which will be 18 lines. Why 18? Log sequence. Then what we are supposed to do here is, how do you call log? Let's understand. Lock is on what? Wait for grand. Lock is on sequencer. Okay. How lock is called? Lock takes the sequence as an argument. So we need to tell that B sequencer, AHB sequencer, I0.lock, which sequence? N transaction sequence. We have logged it. Okay. Next, what I will do is 1, 2, 3. One transaction 2, 3. Transaction 1 sequence. Transaction 2 sequence. Transaction 3 sequence. Now I just
Hello everyone, we will be having a 10 minutes break here. We will resume exactly after 10 minutes. Thank you.
site. For that we are creating one example where we're just trying to understand how log works. So in this case, we did log of, let's not do this APP sequencer. Okay. Let's do log of 00 transaction 1 sequence, transaction 2 sequence. Let's do grab of this transaction 3 sequence. Now what we will do is, there's no fork join. In all the cases only 0 we will do. One is transaction 1 sequence. In that case, do with is not required. Two, three. Okay. Now let us see which will happen first. Let's create these sequences. Go to which sequence to create? PHP sequence library. Go to PHP sequence library. Instead of n transaction sequence, what I have to create? One, two, three, right? Here, one transaction sequence. One. Number of transactions is what? One. Two. Next is what? Three. You may say, why are you doing all this? Why can't you just run same sequence? Idea is to just exercise various sequences. Names different means we can figure out what is happening. So now what test I have to run? This is a sequence, right? Log sequence. Go to test library. Top n transaction log sequence is the one, right? So test name will be test log. Test log grab. Log grab here in run. Okay, there are some issues. Undefined sequence line number 93 in top sequence library, line number 93. Okay, we didn't instantiate any transaction sequence itself. First thing I should notice is fatal lock request passed null sequence pointer. So I think we have to create those sequences. N transaction sequence equal to HP, N transaction sequence, type ID, create N transaction sequence. Next is what? Transaction 1 sequence, HP, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. Right. The APB sequence ran. It ran. Let's do $display. Entry 1. Here there won't be issue. Here it will be issue. Anyway, let's keep here also. Entry 1 means we are checking where it came and where it got stuck. Here 3, 4. Next 5. Did it reach here? That's what we are trying to check. Entry till 3 it reached. That means first lock happened. Unless you unlock it, it is not going forward. Let's say I'll do unlock. Three, 1. Unlock. Three 1 came, 4 came. So then it again stuck in lock 2. During that lock, let's say if I try to run this sequence, some other sequence, during this lock, I'm running this sequence, let's say, transaction 2 sequence. It is stuck at 3. Why? You are locked it to end transaction sequence, but you are trying to run what? Transaction 2 sequence. You got it right. Now what we will do is, let's grab it with this one. Transaction 2 sequence. Got it right. I'm locked it, I'm grabbing it, then ungrabbing it. My expectation is it should go through. Grab should get the preference. So what is lock is doing to us? It is ensuring that no other sequence is able to run on that sequencer till you unlock it. But what grab does, let's see. It is still having the same issue, 1, 2, 3. We are not able to get past that. Then we are not able to print 3, 1. Then what would be the actual benefit of grab? I'll confirm this one. Okay. What exactly? Grab has to have this kind of preference where once sequence grabs a sequencer, locks a sequencer, grab should take the next preference. I will confirm it. But without this, as you see, at least this completes. Then you are get stuck at 3-1. Or no, 4 actually. You got the basic idea, right? What log grab means. But only grab we need to specifically understand the example. I will probably give you this example in the next session. We are able to print, right? We did some changes as well. Oh, this, right? This we should not be doing. That is what stuck actually. Okay, now it will come. Till entry 4 it will come. Entry 4 it will. So that is for other sequence. Okay. Next, what is remaining? So that completes the concept of sequence and sequencer communication. Similarly, I would suggest you try once what is UVM do priority means. How do you give the priority? How does it really take? So what you do, similarly the way we run fork join, right? You run multiple with the UVM do with priority 3, 4, 5. You see which one takes the priority. That simple example, in fact the same example you can do. How do you do? Don't introduce the concept of lock and grab. Pre-sequence. Pre-sequence, right? What do you do here? No need of this lock and grabs. Do on with the priority. Do on priority. 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 Now open the what is this? Macros, right? UVM sequence macros. Search this one. Priority is given last in the number. Same as UVM do, except that it also says parent sequencer. Just go to do priority and check which is the highest. How does it priority get set? Highest priority is the same as UVM do. Executed priority specified in the argument. Let's say I give 5. Let's say I give 6. Let's say I give 3. Let's say I give this priority of 6, 8, 5, 8, 3, 6, 5, 8, 3, some different numbers. Now what is this sequence? Top end transaction priority sequence. Go to test library. Test pre. What is sequence I have to run instead of lock? I have to run what? Line number, do priority is undefined. Do on with priority. So if that is not defined, let's not include that in the list. Do on with priority. Do on with priority. Let's not keep it. Anyway, we don't want to, we're not here to check all the, we are here to understand the concept of priority. The point is whichever has the highest priority. Transaction 2 sequence item should happen first. Agent 0 is last. Oh, no, that is not the concept here. Transaction 3 sequence is happening. This is the one. How many? Transaction 3 sequence. Transaction 3 sequence. 3 happened. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, transaction 1 sequence, transaction 3 sequence, transaction 2 sequence, transaction 1 sequence, transaction 3 sequence. Then it's mixed actually. Transaction 1 sequence. One minute. Do on priority and first question is why it's generating so many sequences, so many items. Go to sequence library. Okay, number of transactions I have set to 2. Rather, let me just make it 2 only clearly. With 3. Next, what I have to understand after this, if it still doesn't go through, I will check and come back. What else you have to complete after this? That sequence in sequencer communication is completed. Layering of sequence completed. Different styles of sequence coding is complete. Virtual sequences, virtual sequencer, sequence library. Same way you create virtual sequence library also. Yesterday we created a normal sequence library, right? You can create virtual sequence library also. Okay, let's see. Transaction 3 sequence, transaction 3 sequence, and transaction 2 sequence, transaction 3 sequence, transaction 2, transaction 1 sequence. Transaction 1 sequence has the how much priority here? Let me come back on this, why priority is not taking effect. If this is the case, there is no point of priority, right? If you're running parallelly and this priority is not taking effect, I'll check and come back. Grab and priority, I'll come back on this. Next, what we have to understand. Callbacks is the least important actually. It doesn't really help too much because nobody uses callbacks so much, but still we'll cover that. Let's cover register layer and end the session for today. Can you read this once? Why register ASB is required? It is used for configuring registers and reading status registers. Used by the register reference model to mimic the DUT behavior. DUT uses register configured values for its functionality implementation. You know what is the significance of programming registers by now. Why do we use? You use that to develop test cases for register reset values, register write reads are done using register layer. Then what else? Register layer is quite flexible and results in a very compact code in test case implementation. Whatever would take normally 100 lines, it can be coded in 6-7 lines sometimes. Flexibility in register layer access comes from lot of pre-implemented methods. In UVM reg, UVM reg field, UVM reg map, UVM reg block, UVM mem. These methods can be used in different test case implementation. What does it mean? All these test cases, all these things you see, UVM reg field, all these are all pre-defined UVM base classes. UVM has some base classes. What are they? UVM field, UVM reg, UVM reg map, UVM reg file, UVM mem, UVM man, UVM reg block. Like this base classes are there. These base classes can be used to create the whole structure. The UVM is not just about these classes. These classes has pre-implemented methods like how to do comparison of registers. I mean register design value to the test bench value, how to write a register, how to read a register, how to update it, how to compare, everything there is there. How to list down the registers. Let's say there is one block, you want to get all the registers below that block. How will you get those registers? Everything is already there in these methods, these classes. You just need to know how to use these methods. That's all. You got it right? How to use the methods is something you need to learn. Now, how do we do it? What is the equivalent of all these things? I mean, we have discussed about 7 classes, right? Where do they come in? If you are implementing a register model for whole design, that block is called register block. In this case, USB register block. This is the equivalent of, it represents all the registers and memories in the design. Next one, CSR register. It is the test bench equivalent of one register in the design. That is implemented in what? UVM reg. Next, USB register file. It is the test bench equivalent of the list of registers in the design. It is the test bench equivalent for all the registers in the design. UVM mem, what is that? Test bench equivalent for memory in the design. Mem represents the memories. So register layer, even though the name is register layer, it is register and memory layer. Even though the name is what? Register layer, but it is not just register layer, it can implement both registers and memories. UVM reg block is, sorry, I think it's a repetition. Basically, USB reg block instantiate registers, reg files, everything. USB is our protocol, USB protocol. Just a USB block. This is how the mapping looks like. I mean the whole relation of various classes. So whatever you see in the blue color shade, they are all UVM based classes. UVM object is a UVM based class. UVM reg is a UVM based class. UVM reg field, UVM reg file, UVM reg map, UVM mem, UVM man, UVM reg block. How many classes you see here? If you leave UVM object, you see around 7 classes. These many base classes. You need to know what is the significance of this, what methods are there in this. Now, what does this symbol indicate? The arrow symbol. That indicates inheritance. What does this symbol indicate? What does that indicate? It indicates instantiation. It tells that reg field is directly instantiated in my reg. There is nothing like my reg field is not there. My means, what is my means? My is there any protocol? What is it? Some design block, some name, okay. My means USB or memory controller or keyboard or SPI reg block, SPI reg file, like that. My means one I have created. But you see, for register field, there is nothing like my register field. There is only UVM reg field. You directly use it. But whereas for my register file, for UVM register file you can't use directly. You have to extend it. This you have to instantiate in my block. Same thing. What is the relationship between mem and man? Man is instantiated in mem. Man is like individual cells. If let's say memory is 256 depth, for example, what is the depth of memory? 256 depth. It will have 256 MAM cells, MAM cells. If the depth is 256, how many MMs will be there? For each depth, one. So finally, what is the tail of this? Everything is going to where? This. In this, everything is going to where? That is object. In the end, what is there? My block. Everything comes into my block. Registers, register files, register map, memory. In fact, what is this reverse? I mean, this feedback indicates. It can have other blocks also. Register block can have other register blocks. So the whole idea of this diagram is to create my blocks. Whole idea of this diagram is to give the mapping, but whole idea of register layer is to create such blocks using this basics. Is this clear? In this case, my means USB. It can refer to anything as such. We don't need to do all these things. Can you read this once? Let's say you want to implement a register layer. We'll divide this whole learning into 3 stages. Understanding what is register layer, what is the benefits of register layer. Second is what? How to create a register layer. Then how we integrate register layer into the test bench. And how do we use register layer to create the test cases. What we will do? We'll divide this into 3 stages. Creating register layer, understanding register layer, creating, instantiating, and using register layer to create the test cases. So the left side, please read the left side, you'll get the. So what do we do next? You read the specification, from that you list down all the registers. What are the things you do? List down the registers, field names, reset values, field types, whether field is read-write field, read-only field, read-on-clear field, write-on-clear field. Then what do you do? Implement register layer model using RAM. How do you implement it? With the previous diagram that you saw, right? That will tell how to do it. We'll discuss that. Then what is the next step? Integrate register layer into the test case base class. Implement register to wishbone adapter. We'll discuss why we need adapter. Then set the wishbone register map sequencer to wishbone sequencer. Then access registers in reg block using different methods like get registers. Then access registers using different methods like reg name, write, read, get, update, mirror. In summary, List down registers. From that, create the register definition. So, where you can refer to all these things, I mean, this example is, go to the course material. I am using course material because the same thing has been provided to you, so you can easily refer to that example. Go to no USB, register layer SPI controller example. In this, if you go to one of the things, block level DBs or somewhere, register model will be there. Just open this register package. This will have everything. So take a look at this code once. Whatever highlighted exactly, only that take a look. What do you notice? Can you write 5 observations? Go through this. Write down 5 observations from this. It is to everyone. I don't want to call 20 names and tell you do. When I say everyone, when I say do, it means everyone by default. So what is the first thing? It is inherited from UVM reg. It need to be registered to the factory. So that, let's say you want to, going further, you want to change the register definition. So this will be useful, registering to the factory. Then you need to call super new with a few things like you need to instantiate the fields using UVM reg field. Fourth is what? In the super.new, give the size of the field. How many bits is it? 32 bits. Do you want to enable the coverage or do you don't want to enable the coverage? Then create a method called as build. Remember, it's not build phase, it is build only. In that, create the register field and configure it. You got it right. This means parent. This is the width. How many bits is the field? In this case, F is the field name. Like we can have some fields in the register, right? In this case, name of the field is itself is F. What is the LSB position for that field? What type of register is it? Field is it? Field only. Read-write field. It does. I mean, one second. who is the parent. We are telling what type of field is it. Field is what? Whose parent is what? F is the parent for this. 32 is the size. LSB position is what? 0. Type of access is read write. Is it volatile bit? Does it hold the value for complete test bench? Reset. Can you reset this field or not? Sorry, what is the reset value for that? Can we reset that field? Does it have a reset? That is one. Is random means can you randomize this field? Individual accessible. Can you just access this field individually? That whole thing. We are doing configure so that we need to tell what type of field is it. What is the width, what is the reset value, everything. Now if you go a little further, you will see that there are more fields. Let's say here, you'll find a register with more fields somewhere down. Yeah, here. There is a control register, let's say. Control register has many fields like ASS, IE, LSB, TX negative, RX negative, RX neg, go busy, reserved to, character length. Reserved to and reserved we can ignore basically. They are reserved bits we can't consider, we don't need to. For every field what you do is you create ASS equal to create that. IE, create all the fields and configure all of them. What are you doing configuration? You are telling that the parent is this for everyone. One is the size for ASS, one is size, and what is the LSB position? 13. It is a read write field and it has got volatile bit. It's non-volatile. One tick B0 means what? It reset value is 0. Why? What happens is by taking all these reset values, if you see, sorry. By taking all these reset values, it comes out with a actual final reset value for the register. Right? You got it, right? If I take reset value of each of the fields, putting together it will give me the reset value of the complete thing. That's how it is. Instead of dealing at the whole register level, we are dealing at the individual field level. That's all. Now what do we do with these registers? Whatever we define now, these will be instantiated to make another main register block. Is this clear? What am I doing? Now what do we do with this register? Sorry, we instantiated. If I go to this register, let's say, again same concept, create that, configure it, call the configure method. What configure will do, if you see sometime back we had this configure method. One second. Configure is part of every register basically. Configure, then build will happen. Build, we defined build right sometime back. This is a little tricky part, we'll discuss. Not a tricky, this is related to backdoor access, we'll discuss that. For timing, just focus on whatever lines highlighted now. There are different phases, that's all. This is not a component. Everything in registers is objects. When there is object, there is no build phase at all. Just the name build means you want to create below view. That's why we have still the name build. Is this clear? What are we doing? Like this, you do for every register. Configure, build. Configure, build. Every register you do that way. Then you have a concept called as HDL path slice. What is this concept is, if every register has a hierarchy, if I go to one design, let's say, USB. If I go to the design, if I go to RTL, there is a register file RF. If I open this RF, it has got some registers. CSR is a register, for example. Now if I go to USB F top, this USB F reg RF would be instantiated. U4. So this USB F top is instantiated in my very top.sv, let's say. So USB F top is instantiated. So actually the hierarchy of register is DUT dot U4 dot CSR. What is the hierarchy? DUT dot, inside DUT U4 is there, register file. Inside register file CSR is there. That hierarchy, setting that hierarchy is what we are doing here, if you see. We are telling name of the register is divider. Then here you are giving top TB.DUT. Yeah, this is offset. On top of that, actual, base. This is a base and this is offset. Putting together top TB DUT plus divider will give you the divider complete hierarchy. So this is useful for backdoor access. Why this is useful? Backdoor access. Is this clear to you what we are achieving with this? Through backdoor access, you don't need to spend any clock seconds. Directly you can access register, you can write, read, all that. Next, what are we doing here? Let's understand this line alone. What are we doing there? We are adding registers into a map. We are creating a map by name APB map. What is APB map here? If you see any design, every register has an address. There is no register which doesn't have any address. There is no register which does not have address. Every register has to have address. That address we are giving to keep track of all this information, we are creating something called as map. That is what in real life we call it as map, right? What is meant by memory map? It tells what is the name of memory, what is the address range. It tells what is the block name, what is the address range. The same thing we are tracking. Just that here it is targeted to only for registers and memories. What are we telling? There is a register by name rxtx0_reg. What is the mapping of address of that? 0 is the address. What type of register is it? Read and write register. There is another register by name rxtx1 register. What is the address of that? 4. What is the type of register? Read and write. Like this, for every register you will not see any two registers using same address. Do you see anywhere using same address? No. Why this is useful? Why this would be useful is, when you want to perform any write reads, all you have to do is, let's say I instantiate it as USB reg block, as reg block. All I will have to do is reg block dot CSR dot, right? 32 TKH 1 2 3 4, something like that. This is what I need to do. Rest everything my UVM will take care. What am I doing here? Tell me.
Programming the register.
Basically programming register, writing some value to the register. Now how does it know what is the CSR address? That is where my register map will come into picture. Now how does it know what value to write? That whatever is in the right argument is what we are writing. That's all. This is called as front door write. Front door write. This is called as what? Front door write. Same thing I can do peak. I don't need to implement write or I don't need to implement peak. Both are implemented already. Similarly, let's say you want to read a register. Okay, one thing we missed here, you need to give a status field. Otherwise it doesn't work. You need to tell, right, status, whether it worked correctly or not. It will give status okay or not okay kind of thing. Similar to this, there are many methods. So now in the next session when we meet, we'll discuss about what happens when you do write. When you do write read, what happens? For example, when I do write, what happens? This diagram explains. It will require some time for me to explain you. We'll discuss that. In summary, what is register layer is, why we need register layer, let's understand. Every design requires registers. Without registers, you can't really program how the design should work. Let's say if my washing machine doesn't have any registers, it will only work in one mode. On, off, that's all. It doesn't know anything else. If there is no concept of registers in washing machine, you can't rinse, you can't wash, you can't spin, nothing you can do. You can't put in 45 minutes mode, you can't put in 2 hours mode, nothing you can do. Because it doesn't know it doesn't have any way of storing the details if there are no registers. It has only two things, on or off, that's all. But by keeping this register concept in washing machine, what are you able to achieve? We are able to program the washing machine for different requirements. Same is the case here. Now, if you take washing machine, how do you confirm that it's working? So you set in one mode and you see, is it really working that as per that or not? Same way, now when you are setting, let's say you are checking washing machine, you need to keep track what mode I set. That also you need to keep track, right? Let's say you have set it to 45 mode, in your mind you have kept that 60 minutes mode I have kept, then it will go wrong. So we also require to keep track of these values basically. What is that you programmed into the registers in the design that you have to keep track. Those programmed values we can use. I mean, to keep track of this, we define something called as register layer. Mainly, register layer works on a concept called as, in register layer and design, there are 5 set of values, 4 or 5, 4 actually. One is actual design value. One is what? Actual design value. One is what? I'll tell you. One is actual design value. One is the reset value. One is the register layer value. I mean, one is called as value. That's all. One is called as desired value. One is called as mirrored value. Actually 5 values are there. Whatever is there in the actual design, whatever is the reset value, whatever is the value you want to, basically this is what you want to write or read. I mean, if you want to randomize. Desired value is what you think design has, desired. Mirrored value is when you mirror from design to your test bench, it gets copied, that is mirrored value. So it's all about knowing when you do some operation, what gets updated. When I do write, what happens? When I do reset doesn't change. What happens to the other values? It tells. When I do randomize, what happens? When I do write, what happens? When I do write, what happens? When I do read, what happens? When I do update, what happens? One is reset value, one is the design actual value of what we want to write or read. One is M desired value, one is M mirrored value, one is DUT value. In the next session when we meet, we'll discuss further on this. Any questions so far? Okay. So what does it leave us with? I mean, what we have completed so far. Register layer will complete in next session, policy classes, TLM 2.0 synchronization classes, UVM macros, container classes. We'll see how, and we'll try to create examples for this and try to close on this. Again, this week also you go through that reference manual. If you think that something need to be covered properly or something has been missed out, you bring to our notice. Okay, thank you. One again reminder, Please close the fee payment by tomorrow. I don't prefer to send a mail to everyone individually. Okay. So I'll share the account details. You can, if you can prefer by pay by cash, that is fine. Otherwise, please initiate the transfer to that account. Thank you. Just send the transfer snapshot so that if many transfers are there, we can correlate who has done what.